Hey everybody, it's Chad Taylor with the Vegas Podcast, and today I am here with Presley Tennant. She is a young country music star as far as I'm concerned, and she's performing in Las Vegas this week during NFR at Ole Red.
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, that's right. Just say hello.
I know. I'm so excited to be here. So thanks for having me, by the way.
I'm excited you came to see us.
Well, thank you.
And I'm looking forward to getting to know you a little bit, and I'm also looking forward to getting to go down and see a show tonight.
Well, thank you.
This
Oh my
night,
God.
right?
I said, come on down.
Fantastic. So, Presley, the first thing that I like to do is find out a little bit about you.
I said, I am. I'm like, can you tell I'm already tired from everything?
Yeah, you ready to go?
No, I'm a 22-year-old artist. I'm from Southern California.
Okay.
Little Horsetown called Norco. I grew up there, born and raised my entire life. But I kind of split my time between Norco and Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
But I've been in the music industry since I was pretty young. I started when I was about 10 years old in a girl group called the 5 LPs, or the 5 Little Princesses.
Nice. Fitting.
Pop Christian girl group, pink tutus all the way out to the side, knee-high bedazzled Converse. And I don't know, I really just got my introduction through that, and I fell in love with the music industry and just have been doing it ever since.
Really?
Yeah.
So 10 years old.
Yeah.
When's the first time you hit a stage?
I
like a big
think-
stage.
Ooh.
When I say big, it's over 10 people, because that's about the biggest stage I've ever seen.
I said that might have been 10 at that point.
At 10 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got me whooped. Nice. So started young, been doing it this entire time. You're here in Las Vegas. Southern California is where Norco is, correct?
Yes, Inland
Yes.
Empire.
All right. Yeah.
So it's not too far. It's honestly not a terrible drive. It's pretty easy. It's like 3.5 hours.
How many times have you been to Las Vegas?
Oh, so many times, especially recently. So I was just here a couple days ago, drove back,
Okay.
came back out here to play tonight, and the rest of this week I'll be at Ole Red on the 4th through the 8th, and then I'll be over at the Stetson Country Christmas at the Rio from the 9th through the 11th.
At the Rio 9th through 11th. Okay.
Yeah.
And Ole Red. And Ole Red overlooks the Strip.
Yeah.
It's a nice bar. And that's Blake.
Blake
is that
Shelton.
Blake Shelton's bar?
Yeah. It's really cool being there. I'm like, especially, growing up, because I did music and I always had been in the industry, but I never thought reality TV was I don't really want to do that.
Right.
But then also once I started growing up, I saw a bunch of my friends go on it and I was like, this is so cool. And they ended up reaching out to me at The Voice. And so I auditioned for it, and I made it on to Team Kelly with Kelly Clarkson. Blake didn't turn, so we have a little problem, but I guess he gave me a job too, so evens out. No. Right. I don't know. It's really cool being here. It's like a full circle moment in a way.
Yeah, and you're just getting started still.
Yeah. I feel like I'm just enjoying every bit of the ride.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're here for a couple weeks, and you're playing. You also you're involved with something somebody had mentioned to me with animals. Talk to me about this.
Yeah. So I started Riffs Rescues, I want to say back in 2020. And it was kind of during the height of COVID and everything going on like that. And so, but I've been a passionate lover of animals. I had 2 dogs. One of them's still with us. And I've always had animals growing up. And so I look at these animals that are in these shelters, and it's they're our best friends. They're here for us no matter what. Yeah. And so I want to do everything that I can to help advocate and or be an advocate and help give these animals a voice, whether it's working with shelters or organizations or rescues. But I did it all back in 2020 through Facebook Live, where people could donate directly to these shelters and organizations that I was working with at that time. And then once everything kind of went back to normal, I started going into these shelters and meeting the staff and the volunteers. And it is so cool to see the community that they have and seeing these animals getting adopted right then and there. It is the best feeling to know that these animals have a forever home.
That's awesome. So do you have a favorite type of dog?
I'm biased. I had a little Chihuahua, and he was the sweetest thing ever.
Right.
He was actually the sweetest thing ever. Usually when people think of Chihuahuas, they're biting your ankles, and I'm he just wants to be loved, and he wants to be cuddled up next to you. And then I have a Yorkie Poodle.
A Yorkshire Terrier.
No, Yorkie Poodle.
Yorkie Poodle. It's different.
She looks like a possum now.
Nice.
She's a little old.
Okay. I just I'm gonna have to fact check this, but I just heard the other day, and I don't understand music nearly as much as my wife does. She's a musician herself. But for Christmas, one year I got a present from my father-in-law, and it was a metronome.
Metronome?
It's exactly what he said. And then he said, "This is exactly why you need it, son." He says, "You
Metronome. I'm calling it that from now on.
So he gave me the metronome. So I was reading the other day, and it reminded me of that story because they say they can't figure out where a cat's purr comes from. Have you heard this?
No.
Like they can't find out what part the purr is coming out of a cat. Huh. And then somebody else added on to it and said, well, whatever resonance, I'm not sure if it's the resonance or the frequency that it's at.
Yeah.
Supposedly it is the frequency of pure love. How amazing would that be?
That's actually so sweet.
Right?
I
got to fact check it. Like I got to figure it out. But what if a cat's purr was actually that frequency? Because my cat calms me every day, sits on my lap.
Oh my God.
Isn't that neat?
That is actually so cool.
Yeah, so now when they purr around you, you're going to know.
Then why don't cats purr around me? I'm just kidding. I've had a few. It's my friend's cats.
Did you find some place in Vegas to work with while you're here?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
I want to spend more time here where I'm able to meet a bunch of shelters and all the people that are running them.
Okay.
But hopefully within the next time I'm out here, I'm able to stop by.
We'll put it out there to a few of our friends too, and see if we can't find something.
Thank you.
I've seen a couple on TikTok that actually inspire me and working with the animals and stuff. So I'll put that out there.
I would love that. Thank you.
All right. So animal lover, music lover. Tell me a moment. Give me the moment when you hit a stage where you were completely overwhelmed and it turned out to just be life-changing, that moment for you.
I think the moment when it really hit different was, I want to say I was probably 15 or 16.
Okay.
Because I'd been performing a lot at that point, and I had done all these things, but with the group, so I grew up also in the dance world. Okay. And so a lot of my friends would go and they would dance for all these artists, and they'd be on tour, and they'd be doing all these cool things. And so it's like, I'd always been surrounded by that. But I think the moment I played one of my own shows, just in general, I don't remember where it was at, but I just remember the feeling. It's like, as soon as I started, and it wasn't even like cover songs that I was doing, it was like my own original music. Okay. And like to be there, and everyone was so present, and it was just the coolest feeling ever. It's like almost like oh my gosh, like this could work. Like this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
You connected.
Yeah.
You connected with the audience, and they connected with you.
Yeah.
So you write your own music too.
I do. So I started writing when I was 13.
Okay.
I got a piano for Christmas, and I wrote my first song ever by myself. Let me just put it that way. I'd written before in the past, but it's like, you're 13. Like, what are you going to write about? And even then, it's like, don't go back to school. I don't want to go. Why are the school supplies at Target now? But I don't know. I wrote the song, and it was called Into the Woods. And I remember I sent it over to my producer, but he was like, what is this musical theater song? And I was like, but we made it so cool. But I remember that was like the first time, especially at that moment, where I was like, this is like my baby. I'm like, I put everything into this, like from start to finish, from the first part of the song to like writing the lyrics, at least ideas on how I wanted the musical, or like the music part of it to actually sound, to the music video, to all these little things. It was like, it was like the first time that I ever had like full, like I was hands-on.
Creative control from start to finish.
Yeah. It was such a cool feeling. And now I look back at it and I'm like, ooh, let's not play that one. But I'm like, I was 13 or 14. Like, it's such a cool thing to look back on. Yeah. And to see like where it all started from.
I think that's one of the reasons I was really excited to meet you is for music for me. Like I said, I don't understand music. I hear music and I feel music in a certain fashion. Yeah. And I think that one of the things is you being a young artist, and like you just mentioned, as life goes on and you go through the trials and tribulations of life, your music becomes more and more authentic to who you are, right? When you're young, there's only so much that you can sing about. Yeah. and I've listened to some of your stuff before I came here, but I'm very intrigued and interested moving forward to kind of watch that unfold for you.
Thank you.
As life goes on.
Thank you.
That's actually very exciting for me. It's like a 10-year plan for me now.
No, I will say it has been such a cool journey because I mean, when I was younger, it's like I knew that I didn't have as many life experiences, and I know I still don't, but also it's like the more life I live, the more I'm going to get. And so it's definitely reflecting, I think, within my music, and especially this new group of music that I'm putting out next year. I feel like the songs that I put out this past year, because it was 2022, and I put out an EP, and that was like all the songs that I had left for the most part.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? I want to take this year, and I really want to just write. And I want to write as much as I can and then see what I'm resonating with. And it's like, so you have like somebody like you it's like sometimes a relationship doesn't work out, but it's like the fun, sassy song because I can be a little sassy. I have dry humor, so I'm like, sometimes it doesn't go well, and I'm like, I swear I don't mean it. But it's like that was one song, and then it's like you have bad decisions, and it's like I'm from Southern California. I grew up with palm trees all around me, but I want some steel guitar, so how do I blend it all together?
Right.
And then you have like Pick Your Poison, and it's like you learn all these different things. It's like, you know, sometimes you pick your poison, you better know, like you got to know better, because otherwise that poison might come and bite you in the butt. And then it's like Love You With the Lights On is like more about the vulnerability and being in a relationship, like loving someone for who they are and every little thing about them.
Right.
But then especially with this new music, I feel like even within this past year, I have learned so much, and I wouldn't change anything the way it all went, because I wouldn't be able to be where I am, at least in this point of my life, without it.
Yeah, and I could hear the difference in listening to some of this stuff already just over the last 5 years. I could definitely hear a difference. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm excited about it.
Oh, thank you.
It's a beautiful thing. I'm very excited for you. So you play the piano?
I wouldn't say good.
No, well, any playing the piano is playing the piano. All right, so play the piano. Guitar?
Yeah.
Talk to me about your instrument favorites.
I would say, I mean, I love the sound of a piano, but to me, the guitar is just classic, and it's easy to carry. You know, you can bring it anywhere. I bring it on my plane every time, or on my plane. Like, I own one. Yeah, I wish.
Yeah, almost.
I bring it on the planes. If I'm lucky, it has its little own overhead bin space, but it doesn't work out that way half the time. No, but guitar's always been a fun one, because I kind of learned how to play everything by myself.
Okay.
Like, I started just looking up like YouTube videos and things like that for my piano, and I would put little tabs of being like, that's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and then I figured it out, and I was like, it's the same 8 keys all the way down. Like, this is great. And then all of a sudden, I wanted to play piano, but I was like, I don't want to lug this thing around everywhere. And so I think it was last year, I bought a guitar right after The Voice, and I picked it up a little bit, and then my hands would get like the calluses on my fingers, and I was like, this hurts too much. Like, I'll have somebody play. And then all of a sudden I played a songwriters festival with BMI out in Key West, Florida. And I was like, I'm practicing these songs, and I was like, I don't know if I can play. Like, I'm scared. Like, I haven't played in front of anybody ever, and I have to do this. Like, this is crazy to me. And so I called someone, and I was like, hey, could you find someone to play for me? Like, that would be great. And then I showed up, and I was like, I look like the biggest idiot here because I was the only one not playing. And it's a songwriters festival. It's not about the way you play. It's not about how you sound. It's what the song means.
Right.
And so from that point on, they invited me back out to Annapolis like 2 months later for another songwriters festival. And I said, okay, I'm learning how to play guitar. And so I sat down every day for probably like 3 to 6 hours.
Through the calluses.
Yeah. I was like, I'm doing this.
Did you have to
one way
tape
or
up
another.
your fingers?
No, I did have to get rid of the nails.
Yes. Yes.
Except they're on again. Because I'm like, I need something. Like, I need to feel like a girl again.
So you love the acoustic guitar now?
Yeah.
And you played all your shows, or just somebody play for you?
Nah, I have my guitarist. I mean, he does electric, but I have my acoustic that I'll play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. How many people with you?
There's 5 of us total.
5 of you.
Yeah, so drums, bass, keys, guitar, and then myself.
Very nice.
It's a lot of fun. It's like, I don't know, it's like one big family. I think that's the best part about it.
So, how was there a point in time in your life that you knew that music was for you? And we kind of touched on it, but like I said, I hear music and I feel music, but never at any time did I say, this is me. Like, I have to do this.
Yep.
Was there a point in your life when that was a moment where you're like, I have to do this. I feel this.
It was, honestly, I had that moment at a really early age.
Okay.
So I grew up also playing soccer. So my dad was my coach growing up all the time. And so it's like, and that's what my whole family did. They all played soccer. And so I thought I was going to do the same thing. Like try to get on the women's U.S. national team. And then but I remember I think it was 12 or 13.
Okay.
And I made my parents homeschool me so I could go to the rehearsals in LA and then drive back and then play on 2 soccer teams that night for practices. And I think it was my parents, and they sat me down and were like, you're 12, 13 years old. You're going to burn yourself out. Like, you got to pick one. And I was like, okay. I was like, let me think about it. And then I thought about it. And then we had another conversation. I was like, well, I choose music. My dad's my soccer coach. So he's like, great, cool. Walks away. He's like, what did you say? Like, and so it was just, like, he was like, what? Like,
right.
Soccer, right? And it was like, no. But that was the moment that I knew I wanted to do music.
Got it.
Because all I wanted to do was just be there and be immersed in it all.
Right.
I remember it was like elementary school, and before I was homeschooled, I remember like my mom was like, well, you can't go if you didn't finish your homework or you didn't get good grades. And I was like, okay. And so during recess, I would take my homework and I'd go and finish it. And then all of a sudden my teacher would come by and be like, Presley, you need to go play. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I was like, I'll go put this back. I'd just take the binder with everything and go sit in the bathroom stall and finish my stuff. And my mom would pick me up and she'd be like, are we going? And I was like, yep, all done.
Yes, all done. Wow. So you've worked for it.
No.
All the way through.
Yeah. I would say that is, looking back, it's like, it's such a weird, but such a cool feeling that it started that young till now, because it's like everything I've done is work towards this, because this is what I love.
So my wife and her sisters, a family was very, very talented in music. And one of my wife's dreams when we had met, she'd always said, one day I want to stand on a stage and hear the audience singing my lyrics back to me. Yep. Is that something that you've experienced yet, or something that you think about?
There was one moment where everybody was singing along, and I played. I was so young at that time. It's so crazy looking back at all these things. But it was for the LA Sparks like WNBA basketball game. But it was, I think I was 14 at the time when I did it. But it was camp day, so it was a bunch of youth camps that came in. They sold out the stadium for it, and they all got sent like the lyrics to the song and like a dance to the song. Okay. And so I was playing. All of a sudden, I look up and everyone's doing the dance. I was like, "This is so cool!" And now it's different for me growing up, because it's like, I remember the first show I ever played where it was like my own stuff, and then I am here now, and it is so cool to see people singing along. I think now, because I realize like the depth of it all.
Right.
Before it was like, oh my gosh, this is just fun. Like, I love this. But especially now, because I'm like, I was that person. Mm-hmm. Like, I did that with my favorite artists. And so it's like, to know the impact. I mean, if for some reason that there's ever been anything, but it's enough where people know the song. And that is the coolest thing.
So, and that becomes, I'm sure it happens more and more as you go on, and the more popular songs become, right?
Yeah.
All right. Looking forward for that for you.
Thank you.
So you touched on your inspiration.
No.
Tell me a little bit about a few people who are inspiring to you.
I think the biggest one for me growing up was Kelly Clarkson.
Okay. And then you ended up being on The Voice with her.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
And it's funny, another Vegas story through it.
Okay.
So she was my first concert ever. I would always sing her song Because of You for any talent show growing up. So for me to get into the girl group, I sang Because of You as like my audition song and like for the little talent shows. And then I would always cover her songs. And then all of a sudden I'm on The Voice and I get to work with her. And I'm starstruck because I'm like, this is the woman that I've idolized for so long. And then to know that she is everything that you see on TV and just so much more. She is one of the most genuine, humble, down-to-earth people I've ever met.
I love to hear that.
And so that was really cool to me because it's like, everyone says don't meet your idols because it's like you don't want to be let down. And then when I met her and I was like, I'm not let down. I'm like, this is great.
She did not disappoint.
And she's just so talented.
Yeah.
And that is the coolest thing.
Okay.
But so it's like I was on her team and like we got to work with each other. And I remember I got eliminated on Top 24 and then they brought me back out for the finale. And so I sang Edge of 17 like 3 days before my birthday.
Right.
Before I was turning 17. So I literally was on the edge of 17, which I was like, oh, this is weird. And then, so we sang the song and it's commercial break. We're walking off stage and she comes up and she's like, hey, like, I'm playing out in Vegas in like 3 days. Like, do you want to come out and sing with me? And I was like,
Stop it.
huh? I was like, girl. Yeah, let me see if I have time, actually. I was like, I'll have my people call your people.
Wow.
No, it was the coolest thing, and it happened to be on my birthday, and so we drove out here,
Okay.
and I got to sing Because of You with her at her show at the Venetian.
Wow.
And I don't know, and then she brought me out a cake, sang me happy birthday on stage, and it was just I don't know, that you say like how one of the people that you might be interviewing, you're like, how do we top that? That was my moment. I was like, that was my 17th birthday. How are we ever going to top that?
I watch it. I have 2 daughters, and of course, is it called the Eras Tour?
Yep,
Is that what it's
Taylor
called?
Swift.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I got Swifties. Well, at least one Swiftie for sure. So I pretty much know all of her songs, not because I chose to, but I drive her to school every day. So I essentially,
She's on aux.
I guess I'm a bit of a Swiftie myself. So Kelly Clarkson, other inspiration. You do country music.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there was Carrie Underwood, Miranda Lambert, Chris Stapleton, are probably like have been my top 3 consistently over the years.
Okay.
And then I would say, like writing wise, I love Ashley McBride and like Kaylee Hammock. Like at least their songs, like they are so. I love when you can fully envision yourself in that moment as you're hearing these lyrics, and I think they do that perfectly.
Got it.
Which is so cool. And I don't know, but it's like I also take a lot of inspiration from other genres. Like I love some Aretha Franklin, Etta James, where it's more of like that soul blues kind of sound. And then also it's like Heart and
there you
like
go, nailed one. I love Heart.
like Heart's one of my favorite bands of all time. And so I don't know, it's just like I take a lot of inspiration from all these different people, and then I feel like the parts that I really resonate with have all kind of mended to be my own little style.
No, absolutely. So do you travel the U.S. on tour at all?
I have
have you done a bus tour or anything?
Not a bus tour yet. It's been a car tour.
Okay.
But it was all on like West Coast kind of areas. So we were down in, I want to say Arizona. We played a few dates over there, and then we made our way through Vegas up to Utah. Played shows out there. Came back here, and then I've been kind of doing like little one-offs every once in a while. But this year, especially, there's a lot more coming in the works.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I have some friends in Nashville, and is it Jelly Roll? Jelly Roll's kind of hit the country music scene pretty heavy.
Yeah.
He has quite the past, and I'm going to say something, probably won't get me in trouble. I actually got to spend the day with his wife and all of her friends out on a boat here at the lake. Just randomly, it occurred. I took him out on a houseboat. We spent the day together. And when I tell you, I had no idea and did not expect, but Bunny she actually was salt of the earth. What anybody said about her, I watched her operate around all of her friends and her people, the way she treated people, the way she talked to people, what she did. She is kind as can be. I was blown away.
I think that's the coolest thing is when you see people and they're actually just their character and who they are. Like you could see it deep down. It's not just a show. It's just who they are.
Yeah.
That is such a cool, like heartwarming feeling.
Yeah. So I can only believe that Jelly Roll is as well, because she wouldn't be with him otherwise, right?
Yep,
Didn't even chance to meet him, but maybe one
I mean,
day.
unless they're like yin and yang, like that sort of thing. But I can't see that. He seems like such a cool guy.
Yeah.
Him and Bunny.
And then the other time I got really close to music that I felt it, again, which created my excitement for meeting you and being able to watch the future of your career, is I was actually, AOL had hired us to do a live stream bus during South by Southwest quite a few years ago. And I had a little flip camera before digital cameras were really a thing. It was called a flip, and it had a USB that came out of it. And I was the bus driver, and I drove this bus out to South by Southwest, and we'd have artists come on, and we were recording them at South by Southwest. It was like a lot of years ago. And this guy jumps on board. His name was Tyler Barth from Blue Microphones. I don't know if you know Blue Microphones, but so Tyler Barth, he says, hey, I got this group with me. They're actually getting signed today. They're going to play some music for you once you listen to them. So I sat down on the floor on the bus, and I opened up a little flip camera, and these guys started singing. Well, it turns out these guys we were hanging out with and are singing ended up being Imagine Dragons.
That is so cool. That is actually so cool.
So I have this flip video of
you need to pull that
Dan,
out of the archives.
Right? And he doesn't even know I have it. And if he sees this, maybe he will now. But I have this video the first time there was a girl with him. I don't remember her name. But that was when I felt music, was sitting on the floor watching him perform in an RV that close. Was one of the most unique experiences ever.
That is so cool.
The talent that came out of him. So that's why I asked you if you've done a bus tour. Like that on the road stuff is also, it's going to be experience that you just can't create anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So excited for that too. So talk to me about some tour dates and talk to me about this new single that you've kind of alluded to a little bit.
So I mean, obviously I'm here for NFR week, so I'll be playing Ole Red from 6 to 10 tonight, which is the 5th, and then, or the 4th, and then 7 to 11 the rest of the time, and then Stetson Country Christmas on the 9th or the 11th.
Okay.
And then after that, I'll be coming back out here for Stoney's North 40, which I'm very excited for. I've played at Stoney's Rockin' Country, and that's always a great time.
Yes.
And so I am excited to be going to the sister location. And then I'll be back out here again in April 11th and 12th over at the Desert Event Center at Desert Breeze.
Yes,
for Boots in the Park, when that's with Old Dominion and Jordan Davis as the headliners, and so many other artists that are going to be playing. It's a 2-day event, which I'm very excited for.
Okay, so that keeps you in Vegas here for the next 3 or 4 months, essentially.
Exactly.
Okay,
I'm like, I'm not too far. I'm like, I'm coming down here a bunch.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I'll make sure I put the dates in the podcast stuff. Cool. Talk to me about this single.
So I also just released a brand new single called Love You With the Lights On. And actually, funny enough that you brought up Jelly Roll, the people that I wrote the song with, Mr. David Ray Stevens, he has written a bunch of stuff for Jelly Roll. And so that was a really cool thing to work with. I worked with David Ray and Brandon Hart. And I remember it was my 3rd write of the day. And I had already been in multiple writes a day that entire week. And I'm like, I always come in prepared, at least a little bit, where I'm like, I have this idea, but I had been ideated out. My brain was like mush at that point. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm about to write about. I was like, and I don't want to do this to these people. I was like, I look up to them. I think, but it was so cool walking in there because I remember I walked in and we talked about it and I was like, I don't know, like, there's not anything that's really been sticking out to me. Like, I feel like I've written it all right now. He goes, well, Brandon and I came up with something that we think you may really like. And I was like, okay, like, hit me with it. And he goes, it's called Love You With the Lights On. And I was like, no, hold on, guys. Where are we going with this? I was like, wait a minute.
22.
Yeah.
22.
And so we kind of just sat and like talked about it. And I was like, there's so many different ways you can kind of interpret it, but the way that I interpreted it was shining light on the things that are vulnerable that make a relationship a relationship. And so like it's like the imperfections, the insecurities, and it's like you may feel a certain way about them in yourself, but it's like that may be the other person's favorite part of you.
Right.
But it's like all these little things, but shining a light on what's real and what's true, and I don't know, like the vulnerability of it. And so we wrote the song, and then I tracked it earlier this year, and now it's finally out, and it's on all streaming platforms. So
Nice.
I'm very excited that it's finally out. But yeah.
That's fantastic. We'll make sure in the morning on the way to school I turn it on instead of
Sounds good.
my repeat station.
I said you could throw in a little Taylor Swift in there.
Right? Have you ever, when you talk about writing, and this, having muses is a real thing in the music industry. This is a real thing, right? Like people who bring creativity out of you.
Yeah.
Do you know who Rick Rubin is?
Yes.
Okay, he's one of my favorite people of all time.
Got it.
And responsible for a whole lot of music that I grew up on as well. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Having somebody that helps bring the creativity out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think whether it's like writing about a certain situation or like a certain person or something, whatever it is in your life, that always does something, like, because you're writing from actual experience.
Right.
And even the thing about like me growing up listening from the songs that I had back then till now, it's like I actually have these things where, because I've lived it, I'm able to talk about it. I'm like, I know how I felt in the moment. I don't have to like I was like, I never dated anyone like all throughout high school. I was like, I was like, boys, cooties. Like, I don't want you guys. And then I grew up and I was like, okay, maybe a boyfriend sounds nice. But before that, I was like asking my friends, I was like, so what do you feel? I'm like trying to be a therapist in a way, but I'm like, oh, that's a good line.
That's a
like,
good
maybe
line.
I could use that. No, and then you live it and I'm like, wow, I would have done that so differently or something like that.
Right.
But there's these different situations that really inspire. Or even if it's just like something somebody says. Like I remember, like even last night when we got into town, I was talking to my guitarist and like we're both kind of going through the same sort of things, and he gave me his explanation on his side, and then I was like, hold on, I was like, that's kind of cool. It's like like a weird like indifference, but how could that be a song? And so I don't know. It's just little things in life that
Perspective.
Yeah.
A lot of perspective.
Yeah. But that's why I love also co-writing, because it's like you get so many different perspectives versus just being yourself, which is fine. I mean, I love writing by myself. I still do. But it's a lot cooler with other people because their minds go places that you wouldn't necessarily go to. Right. So it gets you thinking. It's like a fun game.
Wow. I'm so excited for you. I just can't help myself. So I gotta ask some questions before I close it out here. Some like very personal, selfish questions since I've met a celebrity now. When you get paid for music, do people pay to write songs and perform songs and you make songs off music? Or like I'm very naive to the industry.
So
but can someone pay you to write a song for them?
You can.
Or do you just usually write a song and then somebody picks it up?
You usually write a song, someone would pick it up. Yeah.
Okay, got it. And then the experiences determine the songs. This is fantastic. All right, well, you're here in Las Vegas. You're performing on the Las Vegas Strip.
Yes, sir.
And not the first time on the Strip, is it?
No, this is, I think, my third or fourth time.
Third or fourth time on the Strip.
Yeah.
All right, it's going to be a good night.
Yes.
And the next 2 nights.
Exactly.
All right. And then you're going to enjoy the NFR.
Oh, yeah. So I'm so excited. I'm ready to be here and enjoy all the festivities and see everyone. So I am very excited. So thank you so much again for having me, by the way.
We appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Probably going to change some plans for this evening and head down just so we can check it out. And until next time.
Well, thank you. So let's do it.
Let's
do it again.
All right. Awesome.